Hey there. No, I, Sam Valentino, private toon detective, I'm not here to talk about Coyote vs. ACME opening today. Which, by the way, I saw at an advanced screening yesterday and I loved it. But that's for another time, probably in a few days. Instead, I'm here to talk about how MeTV Toons is coming up with some pretty notable changes to their schedules starting September 21st, over 2 years after the channel's launch. First off, a big change is that the Hanna-Barbera Quick Draw McGraw show is finally coming to the network. For a long time, that series was kind of kept under wraps, partly because the masters weren't in the best condition, and partly because of music clearance rights preventing the show from getting a modern release somewhere. You see, from the show's 1959 debut until the final season in 1961, before that, they used stock music tracks from the Capitol Haiku library, generally attributed to one John Seeley, though most of these tracks the show used are composed by Phil Green, and are now currently owned by Warner Chappell Music under the Carlin Production Music catalog. A DVD release of Quick Draw McGraw was originally planned for 2006, but was cancelled because of the music rights and the poor quality masters. But they've finally been able to restore the show from the best film elements and resolve the music rights. I still remember when the Gumby cartoons, which also used the Capitol Haiku Music Library, faced similar legal complications, which is why in the late 80s we got those redubbed versions with new music and voice tracks that sounded so cold and lifeless. I'm glad they didn't end up taking that approach to Quick Draw McGraw, or even the 6 Looney Tunes shorts in 1958 that used the Capitol's Haiku stock music tracks due to a musician's strike, known to WB cartoon fans as the Seeley Six, even though theatrical music clearance rights are different from television rights, and so it's far less difficult in clearing the music for home video releases. But can you imagine how those 6 Looney Tunes shorts would have sounded with such bland, redubbed music? But at least Gumby was able to resolve the music rights issues during the century, hence it being released on DVD with the original soundtracks. Music rights can really make things, well, complicated. It's why on Paramount Plus, the Rugrats Vacation episode is missing because of it using the Go-Go's Vacation song, along with the Ren and Stimpy episodes that use Raymond Scott's music, like Powerhouse. Some episodes of SpongeBob SquarePants had to have certain stock music tracks replaced for video releases. Heck, Golden Book Video's opening logo originally used a modified stock music track from the KPM library, specifically Prestige Logo A by Patty Kingsland. A year after Golden Book Video's launch, they ended up replacing that fanfare with an original composition. But regardless, it's great Quick Draw McGraw finally got restored and will be airing on MeTV Toons in less than a month. Funny enough, some of the MeTV Toons promos have used that same Capitol Library stock music. But Quick Draw McGraw will take the place of the slot Huckleberry Hound and Yogi Bear alternate in on weekdays and will likely alternate with those two shows. And of course, it's going to be released on Blu-ray via Warner Archives, set to be released on September 29th. I'll likely buy a copy because one of the supporting features is Snooper and Blabber, a pair of goofy anthropomorphic private detectives. Additionally, 2 more Deke cartoons are coming to MeTV Toons. Sonic the Hedgehog, the 1993-94 Saturday morning series fans often refer to as the Sonic SatAM series, and featuring numerous familiar American voice talent, and Heathcliff and the Catillac Cats, simply titled on screen as Heathcliff. I know MeTV Toons did previously show the Ruby Spears Heathcliff cartoons, but the Deke Heathcliff is even better, at least the first season, with higher quality animation largely done by Tokyo Movie Shinsha, and really funky music by Shuki Levy and Haim Saban. But of course, I'm pretty sure that Sonic the Hedgehog series will be the wild brain up converted classics version, where they upscaled it with AI assistants, the way the Super Mario Bros. Super Show and Inspector Gadget are currently presented on MeTV Toons. The Heathcliff series may be too. At least, like I said, the Inspector Gadget upscale wasn't as bad as the Super Mario Bros. One. Additionally, the Casper and Company and Woody Woodpecker Show are being merged into a single-hour block on weekdays, dubbed the Woody Woodpecker and Casper Hour. Of course, Universal owns the rights to the Harvey-related famous studios cartoons like Casper the Ghost, Little Audrey, Baby Human, Herman and Catnip, etc. But Casper and Company has also been showing the 1960s Paramount cartoon shorts that Paramount Skydance still owns, along with some Milton the Monster and Batfink segments from famous studios veteran Hal Seeger. Woody Woodpecker still gets his own hour-long block on weekends, along with the Casper and Company hour on Sunday mornings. What's taking the place of Casper and Company on weekday mornings is a block they call Cartoon Carousel, where each week they rotate with a fairly obscure animated series, mostly from Hanna-Barbera. It'll kick off with Captain Caveman and the Teen Angels, and will also include forgotten classics like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kids, Clue Club, The Funky Phantom, and more. I also heard it's not going to be all just Scooby-Doo clones, at least, as they're also planning to include Mumbly, Dynomutt, and even the 90s droopy Master Detective show. I'm liking how this will sound. As in Mumbly's own show, he was also a private detective compared to his Muttley-esque villainous role in Scooby's All-Star Laugh Olympics. Also, Tasmania and Wait Till Your Father Gets Home are moving to the weekday midnight slot. Though, of course, airing the latter in the late night slot is completely justified because of that show being made for adults. Maybe in a future video I'll talk about the controversy Wait Till Your Father Gets Home caused in the 70s. They're also unfortunately doing away with the known strings attached block of Jerry Anderson's Super Mario Nation puppet shows again, to make room for some of the shows that previously aired in the weekday morning slots, like the Super Mario Bros. Super Show and the Mask animated series. Saturdays are largely unchanged, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles will be getting a Saturday afternoon slot in place of Moby Dick and Mighty Mightor, which will be moved to the very early Monday morning slot. On Sunday nights from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern, we are getting a 2-hour block dubbed Situation Animation, where they will show anime adaptations of classic sitcoms, including the Hanna-Barbera Fonz and the Happy Days Gang, owned by Paramount Skydance, Genie, owned by Sony Pictures Television, and the Filmation New Adventures of Gilligan and Hanna-Barbera Addams Family, which is likely going to be the weird 1973 series that was largely animated and edited in London by Hallison Batchelor, making it look and sound very European for Hanna-Barbera standards. The more superior 1992 series, which draws more inspiration from the 60s sitcom down to the iconic theme song, would require clearance from John Astin and his family, since that show had him reprise the role of Gomez Addams, while the 1973 series had Lenny Winward giving Gomez a weird voice. But they did get Jackie Coogan back to voice Uncle Fester and Ted Cassidy as Lurch. This Situation Animation block to remind me a little of when TV Land had Super Retrovision Saturdays in 1999, a Saturday morning block showing older Saturday morning cartoons Paramount owned at the time, largely animated adaptations of their sitcoms like Fonz and the Happy Days Gang, along with the Brady Kids, and Star Trek the Animated Series, along with owning the Harlem Globetrotters show from Hanna-Barbera, and the Filmation Mighty Mouse and Heckle and Jekyll shows, along with some Sid and Marty Krofft programming. It was a good experiment for its time, even if it only lasted until the end of the year. Of course, like what Paramount owned, it kind of limited to what the block could show, but in a way, it kind of fit with the channel's whole classic sitcom motif, showing the animated adaptations of them, including the Fonz and the Happy Days Gang. On MeTV Toons, the Linus the Lionhearted reruns are being pushed back to 1 a.m. Eastern, followed by a new hour-long block called Animation Antiques, showing a variety of old black and white cartoons from the 1930s and 1940s. But that's pretty much it regarding the scheduled changes, and it's good to see MeTV Toons still going strong. I may have mentioned a while back that last year, Xfinity's cable finally picked it up, including here in the New England area. Now I'm debating whether to cancel my Friendly TV subscription and just watch and record via Xfinity. But first I'd have to burn off all those leftover Friendly TV DVR recordings. And you guys should also keep watching this channel for more of my findings or whatever else me and Zach Wolf and our other two chums do here next.